Hi, I'm Alexandra Doss, and I'll be talking today about the enhancing dual-purpose traits in Coturnix quail, balancing egg production and meat yield for the self-sustaining homestead. We have quite a bit to talk about today. I want to go ahead and introduce myself. Of course, we need to understand dual-purpose traits, genetics and breeding for dual purpose, nutrition for optimal performance, housing and environmental management, evaluating performance metrics, harvesting for meat, egg production and value added products, sustainable practices, and waste management, and lastly, troubleshooting and challenges. The Coturnix quail, Coturnix japonica, is an ancient species with a rich history that stretches back thousands of years. Native to Asia and parts of Europe, these small hardy birds have been a reliable source of protein for human populations due to their rapid reproduction, adaptability, and versatility. Over time, they have been selectively bred to enhance their egg production and meat yield, traits that make them an excellent choice for homesteaders and small scale farmers. Coturnix quail first became popular in Japan, where they were bred primarily for their eggs. The Japanese perfected methods to improve egg size and laying frequency, resulting in the modern Coturnix japonica we know today. During the 20th century, these quail were introduced to other parts of the world, gaining traction in the United States and Europe as an efficient and sustainable poultry option for backyard farmers and commercial operations alike. For students and hobbyists, Coturnix quail represent an ideal starting point for learning about sustainable agriculture. Their small size makes them easy to manage, even in confined spaces like dormitories or urban gardens. And their fast growth cycle means they reach maturity within 6 to 8 weeks. This rapid turnaround provides immediate results, whether your goal is egg production, meat harvesting, or a combination or both. Let me go ahead and introduce myself before we begin. I am Alexandra Doss, widely known as the Quail Lady. I have over 20 years of experience in animal husbandry. I have my Bachelor of Science degree in Animal Sciences with a poultry and pre-vet emphasis from Oregon State University. I was heading for vet school, but was tossed a Coturnix quail Stella in my avian embryology class and moved to the direction of poultry farming. My expertise spans from breeding and raising quail to creating educational resources. My goal is to help farmers, homesteaders, and students alike to embrace sustainable practices. I run Stellar Gamebirds Poultry Waterfowl LLC, and we're going on our 16th year. I wanted to share some of what I would call my baby photos of the past. Some of my photos in college working with broilers, as well as Coturnix quail. I wanted to share some of my accomplishments. There's me and my buddy Stella, who was my foundation bird and the start of my farm, Stellar Gamebirds Poultry Waterfowl LLC. I did start with my first project of selectively breeding from Pharaoh to Jumbo, some of my gorgeous quail eggs, and my two Coturnix books, one of which is Coturnix Revolution, published in 2013, and my second one, which is a prequel to that, which is The Quail Lady's Guide to Raising Coturnix on the Homestead, published in 2019. Both of these books dive into Coturnix, a little bit of my history, and much more. Let's go ahead and delve into enhancing dual-purpose traits in Coturnix quail, balancing egg production and meat yield for the self-sustaining homestead. It's important to start with understanding dual-purpose traits. Let's go ahead and define dual-purpose efficiency first. Dual-purpose efficiency involves striking the perfect balance between egg production and meat yield. High-performing Coturnix should consistently lay medium to large eggs while maintaining a robust body mass for meat harvesting. This balance ensures that resources such as feed, time, and space are used effectively. For egg production, the goal is to maintain consistent laying of high-quality eggs, focusing on shell strength, egg size, and production frequency. For meat yield, ensuring a sufficient body weight is critical for meat production, with large weights varying based on market or personal needs, and resource allocation, efficient management of feed and housing to sustain both high egg production and desirable body size. Some of the photos you see below are my personal photos of my selective breeding. The first one of the eggs, this was taken in 2015. These are our stellar jumbo pharaohs. Photograph from left to right is generation 5, 18, 25, and 36. As you can see, In each generation or each skipped generation, we have the eggs starting from a pharaoh all the way to the jumbos. And on the right, we have one of my weighing opportunities when I was weighing some of my birds to select for size. The Coturnix quail possess remarkable genetic traits that make them suitable for dual purpose farming. Selective breeding has enhanced their ability to thrive in diverse environments while supporting rapid growth and prolific egg laying. These genetic potentials include growth rate, as the quail can reach maturity within 6 to 8 weeks, allowing for quick turnover. Adaptability, their ability to adapt to varying climates and housing conditions, making them an excellent choice for small scale farming. And breeding versatility. Selectively breeding opens the possibility for improving both body size and egg quality simultaneously. By understanding their genetic potential, you can make informed decisions when selecting and breeding stock to meet specific dual purpose goals. Egg production and body weight are interdependent traits that must be balanced carefully. Excessive focus on one can negatively impact the other. Some key considerations include nutritional impact. High protein diets support both egg production and body mass. However, an imbalance can lead to issues such as poor egg quality or obesity. Stress factors. Overcrowding or improper housing can reduce egg laying frequency and stunt growth. Selective breeding. Breeding for extremes, for example, only egg production or only meat quality, can reduce the overall utility of the quail for dual purpose systems. Through careful management and strategic breeding, it's possible to maintain a flock that excels in both egg production and meat yield. Data tracking, regular evaluations, and targeted improvements will ensure that hobbyists, farmers, and students alike can optimize their coveys for maximum efficiency. In the next few slides, we'll be talking about genetics and breeding for dual purpose. Let's go ahead and start with number 1, choosing the right breeding stock. The foundation of successful breeding starts with selecting the right quail. You need to prioritize health and vitality, productivity metrics, and temperament. For health and vitality, breeders should be free from disease with robust immune systems. Productivity metrics, select birds that consistently lay large eggs and maintain good body weight. And temperament is very important. You need to select calm, low stress birds because they thrive better in diverse environments. Number 2, techniques to maintain genetic diversity. Maintaining genetic diversity ensures the long term health and productivity of your covey. Key techniques include rotation of breeders, regularly introduce new bloodlines to avoid genetic stagnation. Small covey management, use methods like spiral mating to maintain diversity within limited space. And data tracking, record-breaking outcomes to identify patterns and make informed decisions. Let's talk a little bit about spiral mating. In a small-scale quail breeding setup, spiral mating is an effective method to sustain genetic diversity while preventing inbreeding within a limited space. This strategy is particularly useful for homesteaders working with Coturnix quail for dual purpose traits, egg production, and meat yield. Spiral mating involves organizing your birds into rotating breeding groups, or rather spirals, to ensure a structured, systematic breeding process that maintains genetic vigor. Each generation follows a planned rotation where males are periodically moved to different female groups, reducing inbreeding risk. Number 3, comparing crossbreeding and line breeding. Crossbreeding combines different genetic lines to enhance specific traits such as growth or egg production. It's ideal for short-term gains but requires careful management to maintain consistency. On the other side, we have line breeding, which focuses on consolidating desirable traits within a family line. Effective for stabilizing traits, but it does risk inbreeding if not managed carefully. Such examples of line breeding is breeding father to daughter and mother to son. For self-sustaining homesteads, combining spiral mating with selective culling and performance tracking will create a closed-loop system that produces hardy, productive quail year after year, even with limited space. Lastly, recognizing and preventing inbreeding issues is important. Inbreeding can lead to reduced fertility, weaker immune systems, and diminished productivity. Preventative measures include monitoring relationships, avoid breeding close relatives whenever possible, genetic refreshing, introduce new birds to the covey every few generations, and health checks regularly assess the health and productivity of offspring to catch potential issues early. By applying these strategies, you can develop a robust breeding program that enhances both egg production and meat yield while maintaining covey health and diversity. A balanced diet is crucial for both growth and reproduction. The nutritional needs of Coturnix quail are foundational to achieving both high egg production and desirable body weight for meat purposes. Let's go ahead and explore cost effective, practical feeding solutions tailored to student, farmers, and small scale producers. The key nutrients for growth and egg production is protein, calcium, vitamins, and minerals. For protein, quail diets should consist of at least 20 to 24% for optimal growth and egg laying. Protein sources include soybean meal, fish meal, and insect-based feeds. For essential calcium is essential for strong eggshells. Crushed oyster shells or calcium and rich feed additives are cost-effective options. Vitamin D3, phosphorus, and trace minerals like zinc and selenium support metabolic functions and overall health. Although I highly encourage speaking with a nutritionist for a well balanced diet for Coturnix, there are some cost effective ways to meet calcium and protein requirements for Coturnix quail. Do it yourself feed blends. You can combine bulk grains with protein rich ingredients like mealworms or alfalfa meal to create a balanced diet. Foraging opportunities is another way. Encourage the quail to forage for insects and grains if they're housed in movable outdoor pens. Offer kitchen scraps such as leafy greens, eggshells, dried and crushed, or sunflower seeds to enhance nutritional intake without added expense. Some ideas for do-it-yourself and supplemental feeding options are kitchen scraps, insect farming, and hydroponic fodder systems. Utilize food waste like vegetable peels, fruit cores, and boiled eggs chopped to supplement commercial feed. You can raise mealworms or black soldier fly larvae as a renewable high protein feed source. Or you can grow sprouted grains such as barley or wheat for a nutrient rich and economical supplement. Below is a sample feeding schedule from 0 to 6 weeks onward. For a starter diet, I recommend a high protein diet of 24 to 28%, up to 30%. Feed to support the rapid growth and development. As they mature to 6 weeks, a grower diet can be provided, which is a transition to a balanced diet with a 20 to 24%, preferably 24% protein. And then there's a layer diet, which would focus more on calcium and rich feed for laying hens. If you are unable to get a layer diet for game birds, I would recommend offering free choice oyster shells. You should always offer free choice oyster shells and grit to help with their digestive process as well. But if you're unable to find a diet appropriate for layers, you can provide a starter or grower diet with that calcium supplement. Always consult a nutritionist on what would work best for any given program. There isn't one way to feed your Coturnix quail, and what works for some does not work for others. So, finding a nutritionist and talking about your needs will help you formulate a diet that works for your quail, and then you can have your own feeding schedule. In addition, providing consistent access to fresh water and feed the quail require a steady supply of nutrients for sustained productivity. By implementing these nutritional strategies, you can ensure your quail maintain optimal performance, balancing the dual purpose goals of egg production and meat yield while staying within budget. There are many ways to house your Coturnix quail. You'll see some photos of samples of different ways for a small scale farmer to house your quail. Efficient housing is essential for ensuring the health and productivity of Coturnix quail. For students and small scale farmers, practical low cost housing solutions are key to success. In the chapter, we'll explore the critical elements of housing and environmental management. Some ideas for compact cages and pens would be stackable systems, multi-tiered cages, maximize vertical space, making them ideal for dorms or small backyards. Portable pens, movable pens allowing quail access to fresh ground while protecting them from predators. And some do-it-yourself options, recycled materials such as pallets or old furniture can be repurposed into functional housing. Just like nutrition, there isn't a right or wrong way, and it also stems into housing as well. You can use rabbit cages, rabbit hutches. You can even make pallets. We are Some of our very first stackable systems were made out of pallets that lasted a very long time. Since we're talking about egg production and meat production and dual purpose birds, it's very important to have proper lighting to encourage egg production. The photo period control and avoiding overexposure is very important. Quail require 14 to 16 hours of light daily to maintain egg production. You can use inexpensive LED lights to supplement natural light in darker seasons. You can use Christmas lights. You can put a timer on to help you. There are many ways to give the quail the 14 to 16 hours of daily light to encourage egg production. I do want to mention to ensure that you do have dark periods to prevent stress and maintain natural reproductive cycles, just like us. Quail gotta sleep. They need to sleep. Giving them rest encourages them to have a good cycle and be able to lay. So make sure you're just giving them 14 to 16 hours of light. If you give them 24 hours of light, you will end up having to replace your birds much more often. If you give them the 14 to 16 hours of light, it gives them what they need to have a rest time, but also to be productive. There are some simple ways to manage temperature and ventilation. For temperature control, maintaining temperatures between 60 to 75 degrees is ideal for Coturnix. You can use fans, shade cloth, or small heaters depending on the season. Here in Florida, we have to have a lot of ventilation. It gets really hot. So we use fans, sometimes swamp coolers, lots of ventilation is needed. Proper airflow is also super important as it prevents ammonia buildup from droppings and keeps quail healthy. You can install vents or mesh walls into the housing units. It's very important to keep your quail stress-free and healthy because if they're healthy and stress-free, they will produce eggs. Some of the tips that I have for you today is space requirements. Provide at least 1 square foot per bird to prevent overcrowding. This is my personal rule of thumb. This is what FWC and my mentors told me to start off with when I was starting out raising quail. As you get more familiar and comfortable with quail, you can add more quail per square foot. This is just a good starting point. Enrichment helps keeping the quail stress-free and healthy and also happy. Adding hiding spots, toys, and sandbags will reduce stress and encourage natural behaviors. What my birds like is music. So if there's music that you want to listen to, I am pretty sure the quail will listen as well. We're always jamming while we are collecting eggs, feeding, and all that fun stuff. Music is a great form of enrichment. Also, it is important to keep your quail safe from predators. Here in Florida, we have quite a bit of predators. I know that those that are living in the country deal with predators as well. Predators um, can come as little as rats to as large as bobcats and coyotes. It's very important to ensure that your cages are predator proof and have secure latches and hardware. Keeping records is an invaluable skill for agriculture projects. By consistently tracking data, you can monitor the productivity and health of your quail covey while making informed management decisions. In the next few slides, we'll be talking about evaluating performance metrics. Let's begin with measuring and tracking egg production. You can measure and track egg production by egg count and frequency, egg quality, and environmental factors. Recording daily egg counts to monitor laying consistency and identifying trends over time. Track metrics such as shell thickness, size, and shape to assess overall cubby health, and correlate changes in production with variable like lighting, temperature, and feed quality. Monitoring growth rates for meat yields is another way to evaluate performance metrics. Weight tracking, feed conversion ratios, FCR, and carcass evaluation are some. Regularly weigh your quail to track growth rates and ensure that they're meeting target weights for meat production. Measure the amount of feed consumed relative to weight gained to optimize feeding efficiency and assess processed bird for meat, identifying areas for improvements in nutrition. Using data to make informed decisions is another way to evaluate performance metrics. Breeding selection, using performance data to select the most productive and resilient birds for breeding. Health interventions, identifying early warning signs of health issues through deviations in health production or weight gain. And resource allocation, optimizing feed, housing, and management practices based on observed performance trend. Developing templates and tools for record keeping is another one. Digital spreadsheets, apps and tools, and manual logs are some examples. You can create simple, customizable templates in software like Excel or Google Sheets to track any key metric. You could use apps or tools on your mobile apps designed for poultry management to streamline data collection. And you can also maintain a physical record book for quick on-the-spot entries, ensuring all data is captured accurately. There's many ways. By implementing structured record keeping and performance tracking, you can enhance the productivity and sustainability of your quail operation while gaining valuable analytical skills. Processing quail for meat can seem daunting, but I will simplify this for you. Let's go ahead and talk about harvesting quail for meat. There are a few steps for humane and efficient slaughter. Preparation, slaughter method, and bleeding out are the three things to consider. You need to ensure the birds are calm by handling them gently and limiting stress before processing. Using humane techniques such as cervical dislocation or a sharp knife. Also, kitchen shears work too. Practice is essential to ensure quick and painless processing. Also, for bleeding out, allow some efficient time for the birds to bleed out completely, ensuring clean meat quality. You really don't need to invest in a lot of tools if you are starting out. Like I mentioned, kitchen shears, that's what I use. What I would recommend is have a clean sink, have a bucket, and have some kitchen shears. You can process birds by cutting their heads out, letting them sit in the bucket and bleed out, and then finish the processing in the sink. I'm going to show you some affordable and easy to use equipment. Some basic tools, like I mentioned before, scissors, a sharp knife with a cutting board are sufficient for beginners. Advanced options include small pluckers or processing cones. Create a designated processing area, though, with easy access to water and tools. Sanitize the surfaces to maintain the hygiene. Repurposed household items such as buckets or kitchen gloves to save the costs. As for maximizing yield with minimal waste, plucking and skinning, you can pluck feathers carefully or skin the bird for faster processing. You can save the feathers for composting or craft projects. For evisceration, remove organs cleanly, separating edible parts like the liver and heart, and then discard the rest responsibly. And then meat cuts. You can practice breaking down quail into cuts, such as the breast, thighs, wings, for various culinary uses. I usually just keep them whole unless somebody asks me for cuts. There are some ways to store the meat for personal use or small-scale sales. Freezing. You can vacuum seal or wrap meat tightly in freezer-safe bags to prevent freezer burn. Um, Make sure that you're using it within 2 to 3 days of storing in the refrigerator, though. For value-added products, consider preparing marinated products or pre-seasoned. However, check your state laws on the processes. I would like to share some egg production and value-added product information. It's important for proper egg collection, cleaning, and storage, so I'm going to share some of those techniques. For egg collection, gather eggs daily to maintain freshness and prevent damage. Use soft collection trays to avoid cracking during handling. Use a dry cloth to remove debris for slightly soiled eggs. For heavily soiled eggs, rinse gently with lukewarm water and sanitize with a mild solution or a safe detergent. For storage tips, store eggs in a cool, dry place. Refrigeration is ideal for extending freshness, keeping eggs viable for 2 to 4 weeks. Some easy recipes for value-added products. And let's start with creative marketing strategies. So you need to target the local markets. Approach local grocers, farmers markets, or restaurants with sample packs of quail eggs and products. Online presence. Use social media platforms to showcase recipes and benefits of quail eggs. Create visually appealing content to attract followers. And collaborate opportunities. Partner with chefs or artisans to co-develop products like gourmet egg dishes or eco-friendly packaging. Pickled quail eggs, quail egg snacks, and baking enhancements are other value-added products. A flavorful and shelf-stable option would be pickled quail eggs, in which you combine boiled quail eggs with a vinegar-based brine and customized flavors. And quail egg snacks, you can prepare seasoned roasted quail eggs for convenient high-protein snacks. Coat with olive oil and desired spices before roasting. And then you can market quail eggs as a superior for their baking too. There's many ways, but you do need to check your state laws. Every state is different, and there's different ways of where you can make these items, and also how and the process. Very important to check your state laws. You can use quail manure as a natural fertilizer. It's a nutrient-rich fertilizer. Quail manure is high in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, making it an excellent organic fertilizer for gardens and crops. You can compost for safety, allowing the manure to decompose in a compost pile for 2 to 3 months to reduce pathogens and odor. You can mix with other organic materials like straw or leaves to enhance its usability. You can also dilute fresh manure with water for a compost tea to use a nutrient boost for plants during growth phases. So it can be used as a direct application. Here are some composting waste materials for garden projects. You can incorporate bedding by combining used quail bedding, wood shavings, straw with kitchen scraps, and yard waste in a compost pile. You can maintain a carbon to nitrogen ratio of 30 to 1 for efficient decomposition. If you add dry materials like leaves or paper to balance high nitrogen manure, it will make the balance even better. You can finish compost uses by applying completed compost as a soil amendment to improve water retention and organic content. Some ideas for zero waste farming techniques is feather recycling, feed efficiency, and upcycled housing. You can use feathers from processed quail in compost or as a base for crafts and artisan products. You can convert kitchen scraps and garden trimmings into supplementary feed for quail. And you can build or repair coops and pens using salvaged materials like pallets or fencings to reduce waste. You can incorporate quail into larger sustainable systems, such as aquaponics integration, by using quail manure as a nutrient source for hydroponic systems. Manure runoff enriches the water for growing plants like lettuce or herbs. You can have a closed loop system, like I mentioned before, by combining quail farming with vegetable gardens, using compost and manure to fertilize crops, which in turn provide scraps for quail feed. And you can also integrate quail farming with wildflower strips or pollinator habitats to promote biodiversity and enhance crop yields. By implementing these practices, you can create a closed-loop farming system that minimizes waste, maximizes resources, and contributes positively to the environment. Sustainability becomes not only an achievable goal, but a vital aspect of successful quail farming. Challenges are inevitable in any farming endeavor, but they offer valuable learning opportunities. Let's address common concerns and provide practical solutions. It's very important to manage health issues, recognizing illnesses, such as monitoring for systems like lethargy, ruffled feathers, or loss of appetite is very important because early detection is key to preventing outbreaks. Most birds won't show symptoms until it's too late, so it's very important to be observant and monitor any signs of illness and offer solutions. Common diseases such as coccidiosis or respiratory infections, knowing how to treat them effectively with medicines or natural remedies is also another important factor. And preventive measures such as maintain clean housing, provide balanced nutrition, and ensure adequate ventilation to reduce disease risk is important as well. It's very important to reduce aggression and overcrowding. For space allocation, providing at least 1 square foot of space per bird to start out with minimizes territorial disputes. For enrichment strategies, using toys, hiding spots, and sandbaths reduces stress and promote natural behaviors. I have mentioned before that music is also a wonderful enrichment strategy if stress is being involved. Also, separating aggressive birds. Identify and isolate overly dominant birds to restore harmony within the covey. It's very important to handle environmental challenges. Temperature extremes and predator protection are two forms of challenges that many farmers face. Insulate housing during cold months and provide shade or fans during the hot weather will maintain a stable environment. As for predators, securing pens with hardware cloth, ensuring latches are predator proof to safeguard the birds from harm is also super important. As we reach the end of this journey through enhancing dual purpose traits in Coturnix quail, I hope you feel equipped and inspired to take the next steps in your homesteading or farming journey. These remarkable little birds have so much to offer: efficient egg production, tender meat, and a sustainability factor that fits seamlessly into any small scale operation. Coturnix quail teach us valuable lessons about resilience, adaptability, and rewards of mindful stewardship. By balancing their dual purpose traits, we not only optimize their potential, but also deepen our connection to the cycles of nature and the food we consume. From selecting the right breeding stock to fine tuning nutrition, managing housing, and reducing waste, every small action contributes to a bigger vision of self reliance and sustainability. Whether you're raising quail in a backyard coop, a college dorm, or a sprawling homestead, remember that farming is as much as about the process as it is about the results. It's about learning, growing, and sharing your knowledge with others. You are part of a larger movement towards regenerative agriculture and sustainable living, one that can truly make a difference for future generations. So, as you step into your journey with Coturnix quail, I encourage you to embrace the challenges, celebrate the successes, and always stay curious. The path to a self sustaining future starts with small, thoughtful steps, and you've already taken the first one. Here's to your success, your covey's health, and the fulfillment that comes of living sustainability. The story of Coturnix quail on your homestead is just the beginning, and I can't wait to see where it takes you. Thank you.